Hey, friend. This is Donnie Alvarenga, and I'm excited to be back today for Mission Possible Monday, where we're going to be talking a little bit about could shape sorter toys be the secret to freedom from emotional eating? I don't know if you have ever found yourself with like health goals and ambitions of fitting into, a swimsuit for summer or into your pants or whatever it is. And then all of a sudden you have a bad day and you find that your goals have been hijacked. Type a one into the chat if you have ever found yourself sitting in front of the TV and all of a sudden you look down and you're like, did I just do that? Did I just eat the whole thing? Right? Um, Type a one into the chat if you have ever found yourself with a bowl of ice cream or the carton of ice cream after a bad day. I remember the first time my daughter got exposed to this concept of emotional eating. I don't know what she was watching, but some TV show. There was a little girl that was upset and she asked for some ice cream because she was upset. And my daughter asked me, she said, Mommy, why would somebody want to eat ice cream when they're upset? And it was my first like awareness and realization that not everybody is an emotional eater. I just thought everybody was because that is something that I have identified with in the past. And the question is, how is it possible to find freedom from emotional eating? And I am so excited to introduce you to my friend Kayla. Kayla and I have known each other for a couple of years and we've worked together before. But she reached out to me a couple months ago. And by the way, let me actually just say today is actually her birthday. So happy birthday, Kayla. Thank you for joining us. And Kayla reached out to me a couple of months ago and said, Hey, Donnie, I'm ready to do this, but like, I need something legit. I need something for real because I've been struggling with this for a while and I need something that's going to help me with my emotional eating. And I said, girl, I gotcha. I gotcha. Right. So, Kayla, I am so excited to have you come on and share a little bit of what that experience was like. So, for somebody that has never experienced what it's like to be an emotional eater, can you explain to us what happens? How do you define emotional eating?
So I've been dealing, thank you so much for having me here, first of all, Donnie. And I've been dealing with this eating disorder for some years now. And I didn't know I had this disorder until I started searching for what my symptoms were. And I finally found some books that talked about emotional eating, overeating, and I read them, but it didn't like click how I'm gonna fix this. So actually, I did this program before and it worked perfectly, but we didn't have all the support that we have today with the program. So end up having a lot of health issues that I couldn't do any physical activity for a long time, and I still can't do it. But I thought the program really works and I want to work on my emotional eating, because every time I got upset or worried or anxious about something, it comes to your mind like unconsciously this thought of, okay, you have to comfort yourself. And the way to comfort yourself is with food. So for me, it was the cookies, the chocolate, and then maybe like cakes, because I grew up with cakes, like homemade cakes, and I would just eat as like for that rush moment as much as I could. But right after, I would feel so guilty for doing that, and it made me feel worse every time I fell into that trap. So I actually started doing therapy with a psychologist, and I did it for almost 3 years, trying to work on this problem. But my weight was still going up, 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 up. And it did help me with a lot of other things, but not specifically with my eating. So that's when I reached Donnie and I said, I've done everything you can possibly think of to try to solve this problem, and I didn't find the real way of doing it. So she said, I got you, girl. Well, the program is different, and it talks about overeating, emotional eating, and I promise you're gonna love it. So I start reading the book every night, and everything I was reading, it's everything I feel. Everything happens in my brain, in my body, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is great. So I start like learning how to switch your cravings at the time of the urge, when you have that urge. And even though I tried that before, it never really worked. So this time it's working. I've been doing this for like 2.5 months, right? I think. And I've lost 35 pounds.
That is awesome. I do have to say that results are, not typical, that everybody's
Yeah.
results are different, right? And
Yeah.
that not everybody loses 35 pounds in 2.5 months, but that is your story, right?
And
Yes.
and not that I've been able to not fall into the trap. And the urge is coming less and less, and when it happens, I distracted myself from, like, because I remember, like, you gotta change your thought at the moment. You gotta stop and think. So I stopped. I think, what is the best for me at the moment? It's not to fall into that trap, because I've been doing it for so long. So I actually drink water. I change my activity. I go do something else that would distract me, and like in 2-3 minutes, that urge goes away.
It is.
And it's amazing. So you don't have to fall immediately into it, because it goes by very fast. So if you can just avoid those 2-3 minutes, you're gonna be okay. So it's not something that it's my fault or your fault. It's a condition that we have, and we have to deal with it. And this program is the best program to learn how to deal with that, the emotional eating.
I
So I'm
love
so
that, girl. Oh my goodness. I love everything that you said. It's interesting because I never really stopped to think about that. Emotional eating isn't just eating when you have an emotion. Because for me, any emotion is a good reason to put something in my mouth, whether it's good or bad. If it's an emotion, it's a good reason. But I was looking up the whole concept of emotional eating, and emotional eating goes beyond that, in that you're eating large quantities, to
yes,
numb
fast,
that. Right. And I love
large
how you said,
quantity,
what's that?
you eat large quantities, and you eat fast. Like, you don't even taste what you're eating. You just eat, because you want to feel that fullness to comfort yourself. But it's just less for that moment that you're eating, because after you finish eating, then you feel depressed.
And I have been there, like I mentioned earlier. If you have ever experienced that, type a 1 down into the chat. I know that I'm not alone, and I know, Kayla, you're not alone, that this is
Yeah.
something that a lot of people face. It's a challenge, okay? But what I love about your story is that it shares that there is hope. And one of the things that I heard you say is that you're trying to comfort yourself. You're looking, something feels uncomfortable, and we're looking to numb that thing. And, in a previous life, I actually used to be a pediatric nurse practitioner. And I loved studying like developmental milestones. When the kids would come in, that's part of what I would do, was I would evaluate if they were hitting the milestones that they were expected to hit. And around 15 to 18 months, somewhere between 15 months and like 2.5 to 3 years old, we expected that kids should be able to, those little shape sorter toys for kids.
Yeah.
We expected that they'd be able to put the square into the square hole, and the circle in the square in the circle hole, right? And that is a developmental milestone, saying you have accomplished what you're expected to accomplish, right? And we teach kids how to do that by giving them these toys. And then we evaluate, did you learn what a square is? Did you learn what a circle is? Okay. But the truth is that I don't remember anyone ever teaching me about my feelings. I don't remember anybody ever teaching me, this is what sadness is. And it doesn't feel good, but it's not necessarily bad. This is what happiness is. And this is what it feels like. I can define it. And it can feel good, but it's not either good or bad. It just is, right? And we somehow along the way learn that because it's uncomfortable, because it's comfortable, it's either good or it's bad. And when we put those labels on those feelings, it makes us want to like hide those feelings away,
Yeah.
numb them, put them in the closet, put them in the basement, not deal with them. Okay. But what ends up happening is that it creates that void in our life. There's that hole. Okay. And we feel that hole, we feel that void, and we try to fill it with something because, and we're not fully aware what it is. We just know that we're trying to fill it with something, right?
Yeah.
And we end up putting ice cream where really what we need is some comfort. So it's literally like putting a square peg into a round hole, and it doesn't fit. And what ends up happening is that it creates guilt, and it creates shame, and it creates weight problems, and it creates emotional problems and all these other things, right? Because we're literally trying to fit a square peg into a round hole. Nobody taught us how to identify the emotions. Nobody taught us how to process our emotions. Nobody
Mhm.
taught us how to do all of those things, right?
Yeah.
And I love how you were talking about how we're just trying to comfort ourselves, right? And I love how part of our system, part of our program is a habit retraining system that starts teaching us some of these basics on the fact that emotions are just simply energy in motion, right? And what we just need to do is learn to feel our feelings, that feelings are okay. I don't know if you've ever watched the movie called Inside Out. It's one of my favorite movies. It's a cartoon, and it's basically the inside workings of 10 or 11-year-old little girl, right? So each of the characters, like there's the character joy, and there's the character sadness, and there's the character fear. And so all of the characters are these feelings, and it shows when they go into effect. It's an adorable movie. But a little bit of a spoiler alert is that at the end, she learns that every single one of those feelings have a time and place. And every single one of those feelings, I mean, in the movie, it doesn't talk about this, but what I have learned over time, actually, there's another really great book called The 15 Commitments of Conscious Leadership. And in this book, Jim Dethmer talks about how each emotion actually has a specific function, right? And when we understand that each emotion has a purpose, then we're able to fill the hole with the right shape, okay?
Mhm.
We won't ever be able to get comfort from ice cream. It's literally going to just numb us while we're shoving it in our face. And that's why we do it so fast. And I've been there. I have been there, right? We shove it in there because we're like, please, 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 please stop, right? We've never learned to just sit with that feeling, and it doesn't feel good. But the truth is that if we sit with it,
Mhm.
it goes away in 2 to 3
Yeah.
minutes, just like you said, right?
Yes.
And so if we don't judge it, and if we just sit with it and maybe identify, if you don't know if it's happiness or if it's sadness or if it's anger, I like to play the game, name that emotion. And it's a hard game to play because when I'm in the heat of the emotion, let me tell you what, I don't know what in the world I'm feeling, right? I can't put the name on it, right? But what I have found is that when I can't name the emotion, I could still name what I'm feeling. So I'll say something like, I feel some tightness in my shoulders. Okay. So I can name, or I feel like I'm like scrunching up my forehead, right? Or I feel like a heaviness on my chest, or I feel like squirrely in my stomach. Okay. So if you don't know how to name the actual emotion, just ask yourself, what am I feeling and where am I feeling it? Okay. And just the practice of identifying what you're feeling and where you're feeling, that already allows some time to go by, right? But what I also love that you said that you did is that you actually you practiced stop, challenge, choose. This is a
Mhm.
tool that we teach people. And really, in the past, what I've tried to do is white knuckle it, right? I'm like, no, I'm not going to eat the ice cream. No, I'm not going to eat the ice cream. I'm not going to eat the ice cream. No, 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 no. I'm not going to eat the ice cream. And the more I kept saying, no, I'm not going to eat the ice cream, guess what
The
I
more
inevitably did? What did I do?
you eat it.
I eat it, right? Because all I'm thinking about is the ice cream, right? But in stop, challenge, choose, we literally stop before we act. And then we challenge and we ask ourselves, what is it that I really want more? Okay. Yes, I want the ice cream. I'm going to accept and own the fact that I do want the ice cream. Okay. But then also want, I don't know, to run a half marathon, wearing a sports bra and owning that, right? So when I put those things together, and I literally have a vision board on my phone, let me see if I can pull it up. I have a vision board on my phone so that whenever I find myself being tempted by the ice cream, which is usually what pulls me, I can look at the picture and look at the ice cream all at the same time. So it's all in the same frame. And I can ask myself, what do I want more? Now, I'm going to just be honest. Full disclosure here from the health coach is that I don't always stop. But if I stop and I challenge, inevitably what ends up happening is that I become resentful, resistant, and sassy against that ice cream. I'm like, psh, who are you to stand in the way of what I really want? Okay. And when that sass comes up, then I'm not fighting the ice cream anymore, right? What I'm doing is I'm fighting for what I really want. And so that stop, challenge, choose puts the power back in our hands when we're able to look side by side and choose what we want, not what somebody else is telling us we need to have. Have you experienced that, Kayla?
Yes. And the other thing that I'm learning is that it's a habit. So the more you resist the habit, the stronger you get. You know, like you said, like when you have the urge, you think about the ice cream, ice cream, ice cream. So if you, like you said, you have to choose what is your final goal. And for me, I had so many health issues with my weight because of this eating problem that I have, the emotional eating, that I'm like, I can't go back there. That's not what I want. It doesn't make me feel good. So I choose to do the right thing. And if like it's something that is very strong, I will choose to eat something healthy instead.
And
But most of the time I just resist it. And the more you resist to it, the stronger you get. And it feels good.
It feels good. Every time you get to the other side of it, it feels very empowering, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And one tactic that you can take away from this as well, if you're watching, is the tactic of replacing the action. Because very often we try to stop something, but really the most effective thing is to replace it. So in the past, I've said, okay, when I want to put something in my mouth, I'm going to put water in my mouth. Okay. I have this urge to put something in my mouth. I'm going to put water in my mouth. Right. Another thing that I have decided or discovered is that if I'm feeling the urge to eat something and I go clean the toilet, pretty amazing how it stops my urge to eat, So I'm going to go clean the toilet when I'm feeling like I'm going to go out of control, right? But what I have found is that usually just by looking at the picture, usually I find enough sass to distract myself and do something different. But having that contingency plan in your back pocket, don't wait till you're right there to try to think of what can I do to distract myself. Like literally say, if I have the urge, I will put water in my mouth. If I have the urge, I will go clean the toilet. Right? Or if I have the urge, I'm going to turn some music on and dance. Okay. Whatever it might be. And so I love the tools that you started using that really, really helped you. And this is one of the things that's fascinating about our program. It's actually not that the program has changed. It's that you've actually decided, you've actually plugged in to all of the tools, right?
Yeah.
And because our program is so incredibly simple, I'm not saying this is what happened for you, but it happens sometimes for people because it's so simple and people do lose weight. They don't realize that it's so much more than the simplicity, right? And then it's easy to sway right back. And what we do is we offer a very comprehensive system where not only do we retrain the way we think, okay, and retrain our habits, but then there's also a coach. And you and I connecting, has that been helpful with the emotional eating as well?
Definitely. For sure. And the communities and all the, success stories that you hear. And the other thing is acknowledging that you're not alone. There are a lot of people out there that have the same exact problem. And you see even actresses and actors, they go up and down in weight, and it's emotional eating. So you're not alone. And the other thing is, it might never go away, and you have to accept that. but you have to think like I can work on this problem that I have. And if I work every time it happens, I will be successful. It's not thinking like it's gonna disappear. I don't believe it's gonna disappear. It's gonna trigger you here and there, but the more you know how to deal with it and put the habits of health in the plan and have a plan for when it happens, then you're gonna walk towards being healthier and successful and not fall into that trap anymore.
The moral of this story is that there is hope. I'm really glad that you said that it's not like once you're fixed, you're always fixed. Okay.
No.
There is a chance that you might need to contend. Now, has it gotten easier the more you practice?
Yes, definitely.
Yes. And so I think that I know that for myself, I have wished that I would wake up one day and I would no longer be tempted. And the truth is that that may not happen. You may not
Mhm.
you may never wake up and be completely not tempted. Okay. But what does happen is just like lifting weights. Okay. If you lift 5 pounds, eventually you're going to feel it's too easy. You're going to bump it up to 10 pounds. And if you lift 10 pounds every single day, eventually that's going to be too easy and you're going to bump it up to 15 pounds. And it just gets easy because you're building the strength. It's not that it's getting easier, it's that you're getting stronger, right? And the more consistent you are, the stronger you get so that the temptation doesn't control you anymore, right? So just as a brief review, the truth is that a lot of us never really learned how to how to identify our emotions and then how to meet our emotions without trying to numb it and put it in the closet, okay? And so what we need to do now is learn that it's okay to feel and allow ourselves to feel the feelings, right? Without
Yes.
judgment. And so that's the first thing. The second thing is feed your mind. Learn little tools like the stop, challenge, choose, like having a contingency plan, right? That is something that our program offers. The next thing is find support, somebody that you can reach out to when you find that maybe you might not be able to hold on, right? And so having that accountability partner for me has been invaluable as well. And then that community piece that we offer as well. So our program offers several different tools to support you in your journey to creating better health. And the physician that co-founded our program, Dr. Anderson, he actually says, and I have to agree with him, that emotional mismanagement is literally the number one killer in America and the world today. Because between, not knowing how to handle our emotions and shoving it with food, or not knowing how to handle our emotions and numbing it with drugs, right? Not knowing how to handle our emotions or not realizing we need to address our emotions and our emotions and stress causing physical problems that come along with, right? And so this is really legit an important thing that we need to learn to address. Just like the toddlers are learning how to sort shapes, you may not have been taught, as I was not taught, how to sort the shapes, and it might be time to do that now. Were you going to say something, Kayla?
Yes, and also the book helps you to put your feelings into writing. And when you start doing that, it's not like stuck here anymore. So he asks you a couple of questions in the book and you have to answer those questions. And when you answer, you're putting all that grudge, all that worries, all those feelings in the book. And I don't know if you have done this before, but I find like if something disappoints me and I get very angry, if I sit down and write down like everything I'm feeling, when I'm done writing it, I must already feeling better. So that's what the book does. He asks you questions about your eating disorder and you just write it down. And once you do that, it makes you lighter because you're putting in words what you have been feeling for so long, and you may be ashamed to talk to someone about it, and you're just holding into yourself, and that's not good. So it has helped me a lot, and I promise you that if you do this program and if you read this book and if you like answer those questions, you will feel so much better.
I love that.
Not only like also losing the weight with the program, but mentally, you're gonna feel so much lighter.
What I have found 100% of the time, 100% of the time is that the people that I work with that see success in losing physical weight, they will tell you that the heaviest weight they lost was the mental weight.
Mm,
Would you agree with that?
yes, definitely.
Yes. So if you're watching this today and you have ever happened to have struggled with emotional eating and you're ready to take back control, type into the chat ready, okay? Or reach out to the person that shared this video with you, because we would absolutely love to partner with you to help you to break free and to experience freedom from emotional eating and to be able to achieve the goals that you have and really learn how to sort those emotions so that they don't sort you, so that they don't control you. So with that said, Kayla, thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you so
My
much
pleasure.
for sharing your success, and happy birthday.
Thank you so much for having me here, Donnie. I appreciate it.
Have a good night, guys.
Bye.